man.
So
I'm excited.
So I got my plane tickets for Australia tonight.
Woohoo! When are
So
you coming?
I'm coming in September. So
um,
I'll be in your part of the world if
uh,
it's still okay if I come to see you.
oh, for
Um,
sure,
Fucking
man.
absolutely.
Definitely.
okay, I
You,
don't want
you
to be
have
presumptuous.
to.
What are you talking, what are you talking about? We have to do we have to do a show. What are you talking about? We have to if you're here.
That would be fantastic. So that would be the week of, let me get to the right month. Um, so like somewhere around the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th.
15th to the
I
18th.
would say, yeah, 16th, 17th, 18th, somewhere in there.
Well, I reckon we should do a we'll do a live event here in Mullaney. What do you reckon, Cam?
Yeah, I was
If I
just
put that
thinking
into the
that.
schedule.
Yeah, yeah, I think that'll
All right.
work.
I think we'll probably sell out, Michelle. And we've got a beautiful community hall here with an excellent community, and you'll just fucking love it here so much. And I think, yeah, okay, let's. So, are you good to do a live show with us?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I
Great.
mean, it's not something that I've done myself the way that you guys do it, but I'm in. Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle Gibson, and I'm very excited to have my good friends Campbell Purvis and Kelly Jones here. And I have the greatest respect for them and their work. And we've been talking about doing this for a while, and I'm glad that this happened because they've been extremely busy with the things that are happening in their lives. And one of them I'm really excited to introduce to my community, which is a newspaper that they put together. And I know Campbell's been doing some more world traveling, and maybe have him talk about that at some point here. But so their schedule is just like packed.
Yes.
And the the ball that got this rolling was a new newspaper that they're publishing. And it's a tremendous service to our community. And so it's a very, very high quality physical newspaper, all about alternative history and alternative information. And it's subscriber based. And if you're a subscriber, you can make submissions, articles or ads or whatever you'd like. And I'm not going to say any more because I want to turn it over to Campbell and Kelly and let them tell you.
Oh, thanks,
Ah,
man. Well,
no,
I
thank
mean,
you.
we love you, Michelle, too, and we have also been huge fans of your work through our sojourn through Tartaria, Australia. I guess we're your Australian allies. And we had a wonderful time with Michelle. We all went to the Bosnian Pyramid together, and it was just the most fantastic trip. And we have just loved and loved and loved each other for so long. So, yeah, we've produced a newspaper. And actually, I have in my hands the third edition, which just arrived
Oh, it's
like
there.
5 minutes ago.
No way.
So the idea for the newspaper came about because we're really wanting to get out of this digital trap that we're all in. You know, we wanted something tangible. We tangible and something your dog could eat, and something you could read on the dunny in the Australian term, the toilet,
Yes, the
and
toilet.
something, a true record of our community's, research and knowledge through these topics, an actual record that wouldn't be corrupted, through artificial intelligence or corrupted through, the internet being sabotaged or hijacked. We wanted a real living record. And for that, we decided to release a publication that is released bi-monthly. So it's every 2 months and it's worldwide and it's $20 a month subscription. And yeah, it's all submission based. So it's the whole community worldwide submitting whatever's on their mind, whether it be research, articles, poetry, um, and or artwork or whatever's going on. And we don't edit a single word. Campbell and I don't touch the articles. We don't correct spelling. It gets submitted and it gets published as it got submitted. And the benefit for our like worldwide community is you can advertise in it once you're a subscriber, and you can advertise events, services, products, anything you've got going on, and that just really enhances for our worldwide community a connected marketplace, a connected event directory, and brings us all together in a really physical, tangible way. So that is the newspaper. What do you reckon, Cam? What do you want to add to that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like you said, one of the main reasons we did it is we wanted a record of what's going on at this time, right? Like when we look into the books, we know how much, censorship goes on and all this stuff. So we thought, well, let's just put out
Hmm.
an uncensored version of what we're all thinking about and talking about at the moment, right? Because as far as we know, there's nothing like that. And of course, getting off, away from the screen, right? We all spend, far too much time on the screen. It's kind of the reality that we're in at the moment. So something
Yep.
that you can sit down, you can sit out in the sun, have a read of it, chuckle on your coffee table and freak out your friends that come over.
Yep.
But also be a part of it, right? Get your thoughts out there, no matter what it is. We're getting lots of art in there. We've had some cartoons, people just put in, interesting pictures or, big articles, whatever it is. You can get involved, right, and get in there and get your thoughts out there. And also
Share
if
your
you've got a
theories.
business or anything like that or anything you're looking for, we've had a few people put in things for us, unjabbed people looking for love, right? Which is a big issue in our
Yep.
community at the moment.
Yep.
So all these kinds of things, we're just really trying to bring everyone together in a tangible way that everyone can contribute and get something out of it.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's so fun, Michelle, because like we actually, because it's worldwide and we've finally conquered the International Post Service, which was no easy task, may we just add. It is quite horrendous out there. They certainly aren't making it an easy job to do something in the physical anymore. And by conquering that, we actually have in the magazine, we've got people advertising festivals, events, talks, campgrounds, anything that's relevant to our community worldwide. And I love
S
that so much.
Services,
Yep,
Yep,
yep.
services,
special
products.
services.
Yep, yep. So
Hmm.
we've got lots of healers and stuff in there, and that's the other thing. We want to connect everyone up together, right? And
Yeah.
a lot of people are in, have services or products, whatever, that aren't, mainstream. And so get them out to the audience that are interested in that stuff, right? So it's all about connecting people and helping people get out of, the 2D world, right, and into, the things that they want. There's all this job stuff going on at the moment and jobs disappearing. So we think that the way to build the new world is to build it, to just get started. And if we can help people get started in, a new pathway, then we're in.
We
Yep.
are
And
so in.
that's really clear. On the last page, you have something that says our conscious path, a global community for conscious living, a sanctuary for conscious connection, holistic well-being, and shared wisdom. And that's actually an ad, but that's what this is doing.
Yep.
And
Yep.
and it's very, 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 very well done. It's
Thank you.
$20 well spent. Um, and I kind of would love to find out from you how much time do you put into that? I mean, that's a lot of work.
Well, luckily, it's one of my skill sets. So it's actually something that the production side of it we're getting better at because we're onto our fourth edition now, and we're starting to work out because it's an ongoing submission-based content. We're starting to work it out. So as the submissions come in, I lay it out. So it's not like this big chunk, but classically it's been about a 3 week journey from beginning to end of putting together. It's 76 pages, so it's pretty, extensive. And then we've got a 10-day print run, and then we post it out. And, we've definitely conquered the America's Postal Service. It took a while. You've got a lot of weird tariffs and all sorts of things. And it got sent back, once or twice, but we've sorted it out. So it's definitely viable from the Americas. And we have a lot of Americans in our audience. And you'll see through the ads, there's a lot of American related festivals and events that are going on. And we just love it, man. It's just like, I guess what we're about is investing in the things. We're about investing our time and money into the world, the kingdom that we want to live in, and for us, that's a dissolution of the system that's been forced upon us. So for us, this is an answer to that. And it's physical. There's nothing more exciting now to receive mail in the mail, physical
Yeah,
mail,
the
and
mailbox
try to
out the
beat your
front.
dog to it. Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, and then
Yeah, we've all got
so
so
for us,
used to the
yeah,
email inbox, right? Rather than we
which I
sort of
hate.
forget there's a letterbox out the front, right? And physical still
Yeah,
does exist.
yeah.
Mm,
Mhm. And it's
So
easy. The way you have it set up on your website, um, you just give the information and then it's automatic. So,
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
every other month.
yeah,
So your next submission deadline is at the end of this month.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it
And then
And
is.
we would
you,
love more content from the Americas, absolutely, and from the Canadians. And we've got subscribers in India, which is super exciting, and all over Europe. And basically, the community is positioned worldwide, which means we will get content submissions that are worldwide and really, living testimonies and records to actually what's being experienced in different countries and continents. But I think for the most part, it's about sharing our theories. It's about putting our theories down, bothering to communicate them, and sharing them with the broader realm. Because, like, unless you're doing a podcast like this, you could be doing so much beautiful research and work and having extraordinary imaginative ideas, but nowhere to put them, and I think that's probably characteristic of the whole community. So it's just like gives a platform for that for the rest of the community who not necessarily wanting to do podcasts, but actually have something they want to communicate. This is the place. And it's
abs
going straight into the hands of people who are going to love it. And, as you said earlier, Michelle, everyone's got their own thoughts and their own perspective on things. Like we don't all agree on the same topics, and that's what's wonderful about it.
Mhm.
It's fully supportive of diversity of thought, and we don't censor one word. We don't reject one article or censor one word.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah.
It's all valid for sure.
We don't even fix your spelling.
Well, it's like we have this big sack of puzzle pieces, but we don't have the picture that we're supposed to be putting together.
Yeah,
But we know something is wrong,
yeah,
and we're guided in different ways. I would not be doing this if I was not being internally driven and guided by things that I've received over the course of my life. It just wouldn't happen. I would not have the energy that
yeah,
it takes to do the research and make the videos in a sustained way
yeah,
if it was not coming from inside of me.
Mm,
And when I got I'm going to call it a download, but it was really like information that I was getting my whole life. And then I got pieces that I needed, and it's like, okay, I need to get this back out. And I had the skill sets to do that. I didn't know I did. That was kind of a surprise, but I did. And turned out something I could do well, but not everybody's going to want to do that,
no,
and there's just a lot of people that are sensitive and attuned to this. And, maybe they've been researching for years, but don't necessarily want to become a content creator or
Yeah.
whatever. And and when you go into the public arena, it's not easy.
Hmm.
There's things that come along with that.
Yeah, you got to have
Yes.
a
So
tough
that
skin, baby. Yeah.
it's easy to be armchair quarterback.
Yeah, 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 exactly right. Yeah.
You know,
Lots of
get your feet in the
those.
water and
Yep.
do it. I mean, it's not easy.
No, no.
And
Like you said, everyone's a piece of the puzzle. Everyone has something to give, right? And
Yeah.
really, it's great to, do research for yourself, but it's much better to get it out. Let other
Yeah.
people, share your ideas, right? Because that's how we get the puzzle picture together, right?
Yeah.
mhm.
Mm.
And there are areas of overlap, and we're going to talk about some of those tonight, um, or this morning, your morning, my
Yes,
night,
it's our morning,
Yep.
yes.
because again, we're guided differently, and that's okay. There's resonances, there's overlaps, and you all had a marathon back on the solstice where you were on about 12
Yes,
hours.
yes, 12 hours, yes.
Um, and I was only able to hop on for a little over an hour, but there was a lot of energy from the group that was there and a lot of contributions. And I know you all had a lot planned. I was there for a little slice of it. I know you had like a band and all these other
No, we had a
things.
band in the lounge room.
Yeah, we had a band, and I mean, we had a lot organized, but we didn't really get to any of it because everyone just wanted to be involved. We just spent the day talking to people, and they were coming on, and this is really why we do all of our shows and all this stuff is because people want to connect, right, with their tribe, and
Yeah.
they want to contribute, and so we're just doing our best to give them a platform where they can do that. And like you said, not everyone wants to start a YouTube channel or do anything, but you know, if we put out platforms, then that's another way that they can at least get involved and contribute and feel part of the
Definitely.
community.
Definitely.
Mm,
Yep. And I was sweating my ass off on that show, Michelle. It was so hot here. I couldn't hardly think. I felt my brains were dripping through my nostrils. I could barely think. But yeah, it was a 12-hour slog. We're going to basically do that sort of show every solstice and equinox potentially. It's just another form of gathering. We're all about the gathering. Yep.
gatherings. Mm,
And anybody that's interested can go to their website at tartariaaustralia.com,
yes.
and all of that stuff's on there. The how to subscribe for the newspaper and their special events and things like that.
Yeah.
And
Everything's
we've
there.
we've just and we've just decided to add a special live event with Michelle Gibson in Australia. Very excited. It's going to be happening in September. We're going to do a live event here in Mullaney. So for any of our audience who would absolutely die to see Michelle speak live, this is your moment, people. So very excited to launch that event. So very excited, Michelle. It's going to be fantastic. We're so excited to have you in our home.
Well, thank you, and details to be announced, but
Yes.
Details to be announced.
that's
Yes.
the plan.
We've
Uh,
only just worked it out.
on my whirlwind tour of Australia,
How
but I'll be
cool.
there for a couple
All
of
right.
events, and I've been working with some lovely ladies to organize a retreat in New South Wales. That's going to be the 20th through the 26th, or 19th, 20th through the 26th. The
And you've still
19th
got
is
a
really arrival day, and then everything pretty much starts on the Sunday, the 20th, and we've
so you've
got
still got a
things
couple of
planned for that.
tickets available for that, Michelle, for that retreat.
Right. We have 3 openings in the retreat house, and then if somebody wants to come and camp, bring a RV, camper van,
Yeah,
tent,
cool.
there will be availability for that.
Excellent. And how much are the tickets for that event? So it's a 5-day retreat?
Basically 7 days, 7 nights.
7 day. Oh, that's okay. That's going to be extensive. What are you guys going to get up to in 7 days?
Got some little trips planned, and I'm going to be giving some presentations and fun things, um, some wellness activities, or just kind of relaxing and enjoying this beautiful space near Wollongong.
Beautiful.
Oh my God,
And I,
nice.
I, I happen to know that there's a major ley line that comes into Wollongong. And so we're going to be spending some time at Cornwall Beach. And then I found out yesterday that there's a pyramid in Stanwell Park, which isn't too far away. So we're going to incorporate all of that and a day trip to a waterfall and picnic and a day trip to Sydney.
Oh, Sydney
And
too.
then
Nice.
I got some presentations planned and there's just also just try to have fun and relax and enjoy each other.
And gather. Sounds
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah, that sounds excellent. I love wellness activities, even though I sit here and chain smoke. I'm
Yes.
the smoking advocate for the truth community. I can't help myself. I just have to do it. So I'm PC. Anyway, totally in line with our PC attitudes about reality. So what are we going to talk about today, Michelle? Let's go.
Well, you had me come on for a little while on the show that you had on the equinox, and there's some research and theories that you've been doing on the ocean.
Mhm.
And I have encountered some things, interesting things about the ocean in my research. And there's just some really relevant points. There's legends of mer people.
Mhm.
Um, there's just a lot of things that we don't have answers for.
Mhm.
We don't know anything about it. It's like we don't know anything real about this world, but they leave little clues in statues and legends. And where did the legends and the statues come from?
Mhm.
So, with that, I'll turn it over to you and share what your findings are.
Ooh, how to summarize Cam. We've been on this topic we're at the 8 podcasts on this topic. And you know what? It all started just very simply because we asked the question, where did the internet come from? Was the question. What's the history of the internet? How did the internet start? And when we actually sat down and nailed into the crazy story of the internet, and I don't know if your audiences have ever looked at how the internet took shape on this realm. It led us straight to the ocean, an unexpected deep dive into the ocean, which we were not planning on. And like every single other people, every other community, every speaker, every researcher, everyone else that's ever been um, online or publishing books have always systematically omitted the ocean. It has just been such a consistent omission from all of the research. Everyone's attention is always up there. The galactic beings, the Palladians, the Arcturians, all of the history, it seems to omit the ocean, which once we started to look at the internet and look at its history, which basically started in the mid 1800s, which is a very, very strange and weird time in alignment with what else was going on in the realm at that time. This is when people are still, in horse and cart, and like that whole story around like we didn't have electricity, we didn't have light bulbs, like all this hadn't even started yet. And yet we were laying internet cables under the ocean in the 1850s. That is the most bizarre thing. And when we started to look at that and how that's even possible, it led us straight into a deep dive into the ocean. And as we've gone through the chapters on looking at the ocean and the internet and then electricity, and then we went back to the Phoenicians and the concept of us being invaded and who's the invader, and it took us to the people from the sea. And then we looked at the Dogons and asked the question, is God a fish? And then we started to bring up all the, Sumerians and all of the ancient mythology. And it all seems to lead us back to the oceans. And actually, only today, Cam and I have done the last podcast on it, where we actually, looked at the Bible as an aquatic book, telling the story of an aquatic divide. And we looked at the rapture, and through the lens of the rapture being maybe a topic of separation, not divine morality ascending up to the heavens, but a issue of separation through density. And so we've covered many aspects of the ocean. And obviously, there's the connection of the salt water. Where did it come from? We're in a freshwater system here. How come it mirrors our internal biology so precisely? And so many unanswered questions on the topic of the ocean. But at the end of the day, we know probably 10% our trade routes, Our flight paths, everything is sort of operating on a 10% of the ocean, leaving 90% completely omitted from the history books, from our scientific communities, from our truther communities. They just don't put any attention on the ocean. So that's where we began. Do you want to add to that, Cam?
Yeah, yeah. Obviously AI as well. All these massive AI data centers are consuming a lot of water. They need water to exist. But yeah, with the first transatlantic cable, 1854, I think it was more than 20 years before they actually ran a cable in a town, like above land. Like they had all this stuff, and they say that they were wrapping it with rubber, rubber sap from the rubber trees. That was because they had no plastics back then. It's just a very strange story. And then you look at, the evolution of that and where it's taken us, and it's basically taken us to where we are now, right? And a lot of that is to just got correlations with your work, because it's all a micro circuit now, right? Where the old world was a macro circuit. The internet type technology is all binary, one and zero, where nature seems to be things more like Fibonacci's and sequences and spirals and circles and all this, where all the technology numbers are extractive, as Kelly would say. They take away from us, right? Just got to look at banking and debt and all this stuff. They don't give anything, but natural numbers they give, right? Like Fibonacci is expansive, and it's the blueprint for
Relational.
how things grow and expand. So we looked at that it looks like there's two definite different, number systems, and then obviously electricity, the the Lights, the electricity that we elect into power. There's this whole sort of vernacular that goes along with it as well. So, and then when we started looking at fish gods, we found out that all of these created gods, is that what they're called? The gods that come up and give information to mankind to help, to better them. They all come from the ocean if you look into the stories. So
Mhm.
it's definitely something that we haven't been told about, right? It's kind of like Tartaria, right? It's just been omitted from the information that we get.
And it's interesting, Michelle, because just on one last point before you launch into your thoughts, is that the deeper you go into the depths of the ocean, the more electrical the creatures become. So if we were to imagine the origins of electricity, which would be the absence of light, false light, which would be electricity, it seems to have a strong connection from emerging from the depths, the deep, which is, well, Campbell and I would probably suggest that artificial intelligence is that of the underrealm, the underwaters, the shoal, the depths. It's artificial intelligence, absence of life. So it's the opposite of life. It's artificial and it has an absence of light, which is then artificial light, which is electricity. So that was the beginning of our connecting who are the invaders and how are they operating. And the two things that were in common were artificial intelligence, which are currently our big, gigantic invaders, and electricity. So
Yeah, and does
take it
the
away.
internet come from the ocean? We're
Yeah.
told it goes from land to land, but maybe it comes up from the ocean. And that's where all this technology, electricity, information, binary code stuff is coming from.
Yeah, yeah. Brought in by the sea people, the Phoenicians, hmm who introduced to us binary operating systems, accounting, law, money, banking, economy, trade, all binary extractive systems, which then would make sense that they could go forward and genocide the whole realm, which they did and continue to do, because it's a binary codic system. It's not relational. It's not regenerative.
Not
It's
expansive.
not human.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's really interesting because there's overlap everywhere in our work. And I'm going to go through a presentation that I put together to organize some of my findings, as that's how I work best, but it's
Mm.
also very visual information. And my research is basically came from ley lines and following ley lines. And I think there was a highly advanced civilization on Earth that was worldwide. And I've gotten to the point where I think that what we see in the world today wasn't always there, including the oceans. But water was there, but not vast oceans.
Mm.
I mean, if you look at, use Google Earth as an example. And when I started this journey, I didn't have an opinion about the shape of the Earth. I do now because I've seen how the maps have been manipulated, and I can see where they brought in the round planet. I could, you could just follow it and how they manipulated our sense of space and time. And so, everything that we've been taught is a lie.
Pretty
There's
much.
no other way to put it. It's a lie
Yeah.
because they don't want us to know anything.
Yeah.
They just want us to, you know, be happy,
Be good
whatever
little
that is,
workers.
Be
good
be
little
be Brave
workers.
New World. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, distracted, bred in circuses. Um, they don't reward critical thinking. And so we're not supposed to know anything,
Mm.
Mm.
which does make this more difficult because we're trying our best to pull together the evidence that's there. And it shouldn't come from the ground up. I mean, we should have known this without having to do it this way, but this is how it has to be done because top down has failed us miserably because they just have their own interest at heart.
Yeah.
But there's correlations, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen
Mm.
with the PowerPoint that I put together. And this is where my journey started. This is an original finding. Um, the preparation that I had to find this was a passionate lifelong interest in history's mysteries, including megaliths, long distance alignments discovered by other researchers, and knowledge about sacred geometry, which is what that is. It's a shape called a star tetrahedron. And I started receiving the stream of information in 2013 about the Moors, which is connected to the Phoenicians and other empires. It's the same civilization. It's connected to the tribes of Israel. Um, that identity got taken by the controllers. And so they claimed to be the Israelites. They claimed to be the builders of
Yeah.
everything, and they're not.
No,
It's just
the
not true.
Ashkenazis.
The Ashkenazis.
Yes.
So I was living in Oklahoma when I found this, and I was traveling with friends to places in Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana between 2013 and 2016. And it was during that time that I started to see this ancient civilization come from the landscape around me. Big megalithic stones, earthworks. And then after a while, I'm like, am I the only one that's seeing this? And apparently I was. um, because once I started to see it, I couldn't not see it.
Mm.
And then one of these travel friends gave me a map, and I put it on my dining room table on a bulletin board, and I started studying it when I was eating, and I started to notice cities lining up in lines while I was sitting there eating. So I penciled that in there, and then I found this from Edmonton to Ottawa, and then I found this, and I was living in Oklahoma City at the time, which is about here, and I brought it up here, and I thought, well, maybe I can find another one because I learned about sacred geometry in the early 2000s, and so I found this bottom one. So my work is based on extending the lines out from this star tetrahedron and then writing places down. And then I based my research on tracking cities and places in alignment all over the earth. And it's been remarkably productive. And oops, I don't want to go to slideshow. That's what I want to do. And so this was from a series that I did, History Reads Like a Book, on the planetary grid or on the Earth's grid system. And this particular alignment started in Montreal. And it was really one of the first series that I ever did. This would have been back in 2018. I was just looking at my spreadsheet that I had all these places written down, and so I'm going to do this. And so this is a section of this that I wanted to share with you. There's just so much information. I do have to try to narrow it down as much as I can. And I took this alignment from Edmonton all the way down across Africa and the Indian Ocean into Indonesia, into Australia, into South Africa. And it was a 6-part series. And I'm going to talk about Portland, Maine. And Portland is the largest city in the state of Maine. It's the largest metropolitan area in northern New England. And it has about 1/3 of Maine's total population. And this is relevant because of the coastline here in this part of the world. And it's, you go down all coastlines and you've got all these scattered islands. And because of what we're taught about geology and the history of the earth, everything's been the same way for thousands of years, the same forces at work. They discount the catastrophe or cataclysm and just say everything's always been the same degree of wear and tear, ice ages and all this other stuff. And that's why the world looks like it does.
Yeah.
And I do agree with you that the oceans are extremely important and contain a lot of information. So let me see what I've got here. So this is Casco Bay, and Casco Bay is filled with what are called the Calendar Islands because there's said to be an island for every day of the year. And it's also classified as an estuary, which is defined as a partially enclosed body of brackish water with one or more rivers flowing into it and a connection to the open sea. So I've been studying estuaries in my research. I've been studying swamps, bogs, deserts, dunes. I do not believe they're natural. I believe the energy grid was destroyed, and I've found a lot of this information because I've been tracking ley lines, and that's where it's come up. So when I first did this series, I just went from Maine to Africa. And I'm going to get into when that changed here in just a moment. So some of the lighthouses of Portland include what's called the Portland Breakwater Light, which is on the left. And it's also known as the Bug Light. And it was said to have been built in 1875 to resemble the monument on the right, which was said to be a 4th century Greek monument, and it's in Athens. So here you've got this beautiful lighthouse in Maine that was said to be based on the structure in Greece.
Interesting. That there's one of those in Australia, at one of the mansions in Sydney.
So they want us to believe when they built this and that it was for navigational purposes. I believe they were original infrastructure that were part of the original energy grid, possibly light distribution, some kind of energy distribution, and I do not think they were next to water. I think they ended up next to water.
Well, I mean,
Interesting.
lighthouses in general are a big anomaly, right? How did they build a lighthouse in the middle of the ocean? Especially those
Yeah,
ones you see the
Exactly.
massive waves crashing on them. It's like, how?
that makes more sense. Yep.
Yep, exactly. So I think the destruction of the energy grid blew the land apart. And when you look at, I think this was what I was going to say earlier, when you look at Google Earth, vast expanses of ocean and water,
Mhm.
more water than land. And I really think it was the opposite. And addition to the shape of the earth isn't what we're told. There's something else going on here.
Yeah.
I think everything is moving around us. I don't think we're moving around everything else. I
Well,
think the
one can
Earth was.
definitely concur that there was a flood event, and that flood event brought ocean water, seawater, and we're in a freshwater system. And that
Mhm.
seawater is now our oceans. Mm.
There's a lot of anomalies. I mean, when you look at certain places in the world where there's tides that are extreme, what's that all about? It's in the Channel Islands. It's the English Channel. It's Nova Scotia has extreme tides. That's where I first saw it. Alaska. I'm sure there's other places where one time of the day it's high tide, and the other time of the day it's extremely low tide. I mean, you
Mm.
can't even, you know, it's you see the mud at the
Yeah.
bottom.
Mhm.
What is that?
Yeah,
And
and it's
I'm
Yeah.
interesting, Michelle, sorry, with the tides, because the moon, which
The
is meant to
moon,
be the thing that impacts the tides, doesn't actually affect fresh water.
like the
So the
Great
Great
Lakes.
Lakes that are
Mhm.
gigantic in scale and size don't get affected by the moon tides. So that's another abnormality.
and I've been spending a lot of time researching the Great Lakes, and I do not think they've been there very long.
Mm.
And
Well, there's many maps where that they're not there.
Yep.
Mm.
what I am finding is that it was a really important hydroelectric location with waterfalls and canals and railroads. And I think that was part of the energy system. And I do think that when the grid was destroyed, all the water, like the water from the waterfalls and, all the fresh water from the system is just, kind of
Collected.
filled in
Mm.
where the land was destroyed because around the lakes, um, it's very shallow. And it's shallow on this side of, on both sides of North America. It's shallow in Europe. It's shallow around Australia, where you have the continental shelves.
Hmm.
And they tell us that, it's a great sea level rise. And I mean, when the ice glaciers melted, all
Yeah.
that stuff. I don't buy that.
No, the younger
I don't buy that.
dryas. Mm.
So, so the lighthouses are very telling here in Maine. Here's another one, the Spring Point Ledge Lighthouse, and that was said to have been built in 1897 on top of a ledge that was considered a dangerous obstruction on the west side of the main shipping channel. So again, they're telling us they were built because of these obstructions, but the obstructions could be where the land sank,
Yep. Yep.
like this one.
It's a good
Yep.
one. Yeah.
Talking about the Ram Island Ledge Lighthouse, and that's at the northern end of the main shipping channel into Portland, and that was said to have been built in 1883, and it's built on a series of stone ledges, some which break the waters at the southern end of that Casco Bay I was talking about. It makes no sense what they tell us. And then there are these star forts all through, excuse me, all through Casco Bay. And so Fort Popham, this is Fort Popham, and it was said to have been commissioned in 1857 and built starting in 1861. So that same time period as the underwater cables
Yeah.
that you've identified. You know, just like Fort Jefferson and Key West on Dry Tortuga, it's like in the middle of water,
Yeah.
Mm.
and a lot of star forts are,
Mm. And that one's got
you
a
know,
moat as well for Jefferson. It's literally the ocean. It's got a moat. I mean, for what point? It's surrounded by water anyway.
here's another one. Um, Fort, I think this is Fort Gorges, and it was said to have been built between 1858 and 1864 with this, beautiful masonry. Um, and there's a lot of quarries in this part of Maine, but I think they were quarrying old world buildings, not just here, but all over the earth. That's another story in itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was talking about continental shelves. You can see that on maps where it's really shallow out a ways. Um, and then I've been studying harbors and bays in depth around the world in past and present research, and they have similar characteristics of what appears to be sunken and destroyed land, in particular along these continental coastlines. Um, And in these cases, shown next to international airports and bodies of water that are described as either estuaries or lagoons. So you've got Logan International Airport in Boston Harbor. We're right next to Boston Harbor, and there's an airport here. There's star forts and lighthouses all through here, and this is also on reclaimed land. A lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
and
well, I
then,
mean, the word reclaimed, right? They're kind of telling us it was there before.
yep, yeah,
They're claiming it
do
back.
some, exactly, they had to do some dredging to
Mm.
make it functional again. JFK International Airport, New York, is also an estuary. And there's also a transit line, rail line that goes through it, and it's said to be part natural and part man-made. But it's an estuary, same marshy qualities. The airport's here. In Sydney, you've got Botany Bay, which is also called an estuary, right next to the water. Um, and then Pohnpei International Airport in the Caroline Islands is next to a lagoon. Again, just really weird places for these airports. And I'm also finding nuclear power plants in the same kind of situation where they're in wetlands right next to, like in the Great Lakes, right next to the water. Why would you build a nuclear power plant there? So,
Mm.
it just really raises a lot of questions as to, what are we really looking at? And, I do believe this, whatever happened wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering with the nuclear power plants because I don't believe in nuclear. They're basically just big gas, steam turbines, right? I'm wondering if they're tapping into like fissures that are sending up heat from below, if that's where the land's been split and cracked.
It could be. I mean, anything is possible, but I
Mm.
think whatever it represents was a pre-existing technology.
Yeah.
Again, they're not telling us how advanced this civilization was and how modern it was. And we've talked about time manipulation, and I think it's really that kind of ties a lot of this stuff together because if AI came in with this time manipulation and went underwater, it makes a lot of sense. We know about Antarctica. There's a lot of whispers and rumors about that. Same thing with Greenland. There's a lot of places that just are kind of
Yeah.
no-go zones.
Yeah.
And the oceans are probably the biggest ones. I mean, who's going to go check it out? It's just like with the same thing with the estuaries and the swamps and the deserts. It's like, who wants to go to those places?
Yeah.
Mm.
You know, but the evidence is there, and the internet gives us the tools to investigate that. And okay, let me see what I was going to say about that. So, kind of to tie that up, I've come to believe that the sinking of Atlantis happened at the most hundreds of years ago and not
Yeah. Agree
thousands,
with that. Yeah.
and that it was a worldwide civilization.
Yeah.
And the Atlantic Ocean is one of the most enduring locations of the fabled Atlantis. I think it was worldwide, but where is it? Is it in Crete or is it in in the Atlantic Ocean or somewhere else? Um, I think that was above water at one point.
Mm.
Um, you can fit Africa into here. You can fit South America into here. I think the land separated. And what they do tell us accounts for that continental drift and that kind of thing. But there's other explanations that aren't allowed. And, I think the idea of a cataclysm is one of them. So what if whoever they are, um, deliberately destroyed the energy grid, destroyed everything, and then came in and went underwater or whatever. It's just a thought because I think all ideas are on the table.
Yeah, I
Totally.
mean, we were talking about Atlantis this morning, and the idea that Atlantis was above the water, but actually had the technology to submerge itself, so that Atlantis possibly is still in full operation, alongside many underwater civilizations, but the separation has occurred, and there's a density issue now. We can't access the underwater realms, and they can't access the terrestrial realms. So we've been looking at density as an issue as far as what's caused this great separation. Because if we're separate from the waters of the realm, we're out of balance. We can't get depth. I mean, all the analogies about deep thinking and deep diving and depth of meaning and depth, it's all water language. So without having it now, with the whole oceans being emitted from our history and our understanding of who we are and where we came from, and we are inevitably unable to think and feel deeply anymore, just conceptually.
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah. We looked into submarines a bit as well, and like there's thousands of private submarines. Like we're told, well, you can't have your own submarine, but there's thousands of them out there, and also hidden islands. And of course, we've all heard about a certain island
Hundreds.
recently, and a certain lady who's in jail who happens to be a submarine pilot, right? So,
Yeah.
that kind of ties in too. Are they going down and still interacting with whatever's
Yeah.
down there, right?
I mean, they have an obsession
The
with the ocean,
elites.
and they have emitted it from our entire reference point. And we all know that the space program tends to go up just to go down. Like
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
designed to go up, skim the firmament, and just go down. And they all train in water.
They train in the pool. They wear deep
They're
sea
wearing diving
diving
suits.
suits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yes. So we're just thinking here, you know, putting some really valid research and questions about everything that we've been told, which really needs to be scrutinized because, like I said earlier, they don't want us to know anything real.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think, it's worth noting that the one thing we know about these people is that they lie. We've really got to keep that, in the foreground, right? We know that's the one thing we can all agree on is that they lie. So what everything should be on the table that we
Right.
are told from them.
Exactly. We know they lied and we know something happened.
Mm.
And so, I think
And
there's
that
a
that
lot.
thing that happened seemed to come at the hands of a water event.
Mhm. So when I started to think about looking underwater was on the trip to Serbia and back.
You
And
were
I
ahead
don't
of us, Michelle. You were ahead of us.
and I don't watch movies, but I do enjoy watching the flight tracker. Something to look at. And I'm watching the flight tracker and I'm seeing things like seamounts and fracture zone. Like, what are they showing that for? So it kind of stuck with me when I got back. I've also noticed that volcanoes are on, I use Southwest Airlines in the States, and you see the volcanoes on the flight tracker there. So I think there's something of significance. And the conclusion I've come to is that they're the remnants of giant trees, and that the giant trees were the magnetic field, and that they're involved in the navigation of the planes, is what I think. I'm not buying the geodynamo. If we're not on a spinning planet, then there's no geodynamo, with gravity coming from the spinning of the Earth. It's coming from somewhere else. And
Yeah.
so that's my guess as to what that is.
I'd
And
never thought about that, Michelle. That makes so much sense. Of course, and with the Bermuda Triangle, like we all hear about that abnormality. Well, apparently there's hundreds of Bermuda Triangles,
mhm.
which is just another abnormality that sends all the electrics crazy. Apparently they're everywhere, but giant tree trunks hadn't made that connection. That
Mm.
is fascinating.
Yeah, and we get the stories that they were cut down on. I mean, got to look at the messes, right? They definitely look like they're all cut down on purpose, So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, some do. I think it's a mix.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
mix.
I think it's a mix. And I think, again, if I go back to the idea of a destruction event of the Earth's grid system, and the giant trees were part of it. I think the volcanoes were trees that just kind of blew their tops.
Yeah.
And but there are, and I'll have some examples here of some trees that look like they were cut. So it could be a combination.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
Well, it's
do you know
whatever it
what?
is,
interesting. Sorry,
Yeah.
it's interesting that they tell us that things like Devil's Tower was a volcano. So there's that sort of link there as well, right?
And it
yeah,
was interesting with, I mean, I don't know what's actually real and what's happening over there in the Americas because our feeds are full of you guys being, immersed in Arctic snow at the moment. But some of the videos I've seen, like the trees that are snap frozen, explode. So they
Yes.
actually explode inside, and then of course what's left is a splintered, what would look like, say, Mount Everest, the Himalayas, that splintered, shattered tree trunk look versus the nice plateau.
yeah, yeah. So they've effectively hidden these giant trees from us
Yeah.
by calling them something else.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mesas, buttes, seamounts. Um, so the New England seamounts that I'm showing here are described as a chain of 20 underwater extinct volcanic mountains known as seamounts. And a seamount is a large submarine landform that rises from the ocean floor without reaching the surface of the water. They kind of rise abruptly from the seafloor. And that's the Bear Seamount. And it's called a guyot, Guyot, with a flat surface on top. And we're told that that was created by things like wave action over a long period of time.
They always need their millions and
Fascinating.
millions of years
Yes.
of nature, don't they, to explain all this stuff.
I've never seen an image like that underwater. That's so cool. That's so cool.
Mm.
And
Undeniable.
and so these land features in this slide are called monadnocks with the same kind of, they rise abruptly from wherever they are by themselves, monadnocks. And so Pilot Mountain in North Carolina is on the top left, Parteigen in Norway on the top right, Devil's Tower in Wyoming on the bottom left is a monadnock, and Kurura in Australia on the bottom right is a monadnock. And I think that's a cover word for a gigantic tree stump, monadnock.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
And then here's some that look more like trees, like you mentioned Devil's Tower, especially at the top. You can see the rings up there. This is the Jugurtha tableland in Tunisia in the middle, looking like a giant tree stump, and the
Oh, wow.
Hamamdamt volcano in Yemen, looking like a tree stump, where you can really see it.
Mm.
There's
Yeah,
an
especially
element
that
of
middle
doubt.
one, right? Jeez.
Yep, and that's in Africa, in Tunisia. So, hmm, what are they
Yeah.
trying to hide? And then when you compare the Bear Seamount with these three,
Yeah.
it kind of looks like that.
Can't believe we haven't thought about that, Cam.
Mm. Underwater tree stumps, I know.
Just to the southwest of New England and the Corner Rise Seamounts, the New England Seamounts and the Corner Rise Seamounts. And Bermuda is described as an archipelago of over 170 islands, with the most significant islands connected to each other by bridges, like that one, like the Somerset Bridge, the world's smallest working drawbridge. And it was said to have been constructed in 1620. And Bermuda is the oldest of the British overseas territories, having first been settled by the English in 1612. Now, here's the thing. This is a 1624 map of Bermuda, and it was attributed to Captain John Smith, who was involved with the Virginia Company of London's plan to colonize Virginia for profit. And Smith's books and maps were important to the colonization of the New World. This map includes a lot of star forts, and there's still a lot of star forts on the island of Bermuda today. So there's Fort Cunningham, Fort St. Catherine, Fort Hamilton, on this little island in the middle of the North Atlantic. And there's another one, Fernando de Noronha. It's a small island with a lot of star forts. And Crete is also, and I know you're going to be going there,
Yes, yes.
Campbell.
Yep.
Crete is surrounded by star forts. And again, to me, it makes more sense that there was more land.
Yeah, but it's true. They're always on the water's edge, aren't they? Like you see it all the time. And you see it a lot where
It's
there's
like,
one on one side of a river and one on the other side. And yeah, why? Like, yeah, I agree. That's a
yeah.
bit strange.
So I think there was more land
Yeah, I agree.
and that it sank where these star forts were, which were part of the energy grid. And then there's the Atlantis Massif in the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. Again, I found this when I finally started looking underwater on these ley lines. And the Atlantis Massif is a prominent mountain mass in the North Atlantic Ocean, and it's slightly east of the intersection of the Mid-Atlantic Ridge and the Atlantis Transform Fault in the Atlantis Fracture Zone. And a fracture zone is defined as a linear feature on the ocean floor over a long distance that is caused by plate tectonics, which is one of their go-to explanations for all this stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Floating on magma with their molten core on their planet spinning through space.
Exactly. Science is fake too.
Science, yeah,
That's
man.
when you keep
Seance.
peeling back the layers and it's all fake.
Yeah, man.
So,
Scientism.
so a fracture is commonly associated with the breaking of a hard object or material. So they can happen suddenly as well, and not just as a slow process over time. So among other things, the Atlantic Massif is particularly noteworthy for a feature called the Lost City.
Interesting.
And the Lost City is a hydrothermal vent field that was discovered by a crewed deep ocean research submersible owned by the U.S. Navy and operated by Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute. And it was discovered in 2000.
Never heard of it.
Interesting. No, no.
Fascinating.
Is that rock called Serpentinite? That's an interesting little name, isn't it? Serpent. But I mean, obviously, also there are sunken cities everywhere, all across the
Yeah.
realm.
Yeah.
So, like I said, that was the first time seeing that on the flight tracker on our trip back from Serbia that got my attention. And ever since, I've taken what's underwater into consideration when I research a place.
Yeah, well, I mean,
And
it's interesting that they're flying along those paths. And of course, trees are antennas, right? So, are the old trees, the stumps giving off energy? Because there's a whole conversation on planes and airline fuel. Where is it? Are they actually using fuel or are they using some other energy source to
Mm,
fly?
yeah.
then there's the black rock at the North Pole, the Rupus Negra.
Yep, yep.
What if that's true north, the true north that they're navigating by, and all of these tree stumps that show up on their flight trackers, volcanoes and things like that? I think they are, because I've stumbled onto a couple of places that look like giant tree stumps
Yeah.
that when I went to look for information, it came up as a magnetic point for navigation.
Interesting.
So I think
Yeah.
there's a connection between the giant trees and
Mm,
flight navigation, including the ones underwater.
Definitely. Definitely.
mhm.
So you're onto something. I mean, there's, you know, I admire your research of that area because it's not ever easy to find information about a lot of the stuff that we're looking into. And it's just but there's always more. Just keep looking under there because you'll find it.
Yeah, I mean the oceans there, the fact that they are salt water, that's an instant difference between a realm that's freshwater orientated. Where did this salt water come from? It doesn't seem to be organic to the realm. It's conductive in a way that freshwater isn't. And we all agree that there was some sort of water event. Obviously people place it all over the place, but we can agree there was some sort of water event and that water flooded the realm. Like we can all agree to that. And
Mm.
there's so much evidence of sunken cities, and of course the giant tree trunks, which I hadn't even thought about, Michelle. That's like excellent. We'll get into that. The electromagnetic interference in the oceans, and of course when we started to look at the ocean topic, and we started to then backtrack and look at UFOs. Man, like they are coming in and out of the ocean water. Like the vast majority, if they don't come out of the ocean, they are being seen coming in and out of lakes. They
Yep.
have been
Yes.
seen, and here in Australia, we didn't even know about this, but once we started to research from this perspective, in Australia, the majority of accounts from UFO sightings are via farmers who see these UFOs and then go back the next day and their 100,000 liter water tanks have been completely drained. Like the UFOs seem to have almost 100% consistency, reliance on, or entrance and exit point from the waters, which
Mm.
Lake
would,
Titicaca, Lake Titicaca is one in Peru. The whole
Yeah.
Shirley McLean thing out on a limb.
I haven't heard that
yeah,
for a while.
She went to Peru. Um, Lake Arcadia in Edmond, Oklahoma is another one. I'm sure there's other ones too. Those are the ones
yeah.
that I've
I mean,
come
this
across.
concept of UFOs being connected to space is complete lie. They're actually connected to water. And specifically, it appears to be the ocean water, which would then denote that they are, coming in and out of subterranean civilizations down there. And I hadn't actually, so our realm we are living in the aftermath of this water event, this flooding event. What we call the oceans, I would agree with Michelle, were not here before. Not at this level, no way. Certainly,
Mm.
I don't even know if we can validate that there was salt water before that event.
No, well, they can't really explain salt water when you look into it. That they sort of say, oh, well, it seeps up through the rocks and it grabs minerals as it does. But then when you look into fresh water, they give you the same story. So why is there no salt there? And of course, the salt water has basically turned the world into a big battery, right? Which is
Yeah.
the electric
Hmm.
power v the natural earth grid power, right? It's how they got this
Yep.
new electric system in.
And you've got the Salt Lakes, the Great Salt Lake in Utah. There's the big one in Bolivia, the Salar de Uyuni or something like that. These big, huge. I think there's some in Australia.
Yeah,
Mm.
well, Lake
And
Air, which is normally dry, but it's definitely
mhm.
a big salt lake. Yeah.
Lake Urmia in Iran is another one, and they're pink a lot of times,
Yes.
Yeah.
pink in color. So there's way more to the story. But again, I think the surface of the Earth was just destroyed, and
Yeah.
something came in, something that's not supposed to be here, or
Mm.
maybe
Yeah,
Well,
here
we
and woke up,
came up, came up,
something. Yeah,
from
came
deep.
up.
But
yeah,
we have
Because,
something
all the melted
was
stuff as
released.
well. There's melted buildings everywhere, right? Which looks like a short circuit of some kind, right?
like they
From
got
from the natural
fried.
grid, and it's all been, yeah, fried.
Yes. So there's a
Yeah. And
lot of. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kelly.
no, no,
My
go, Michelle, go.
apologies. No, no, I'm
Mm.
good.
Oh, I was only going to throw in the idea that, we don't rain salt water. That's all I was going to say. Our systems do not accompany or involve salt water. They're all fresh water by design. Rain is fresh water. It's just interesting. So I don't know
Yeah.
where salt water would have ever come from. It doesn't get carried by rain.
Try watering your veggie garden with salt water and see what happens, right? Like nature does not like salt water.
And do you know
I
what
think
else
it
I do?
I think it was a freshwater system from what I'm
Totally.
seeing.
Yeah, I agree.
And
The living
yeah.
waters. And you know what's interesting, so this is side note, but as we started to look at the water connections and we went through the Abrahamic religions with it, every sacred relic that came through like the Ark of the Covenant, the Spear of Destiny, Moses' staff, all of it affected water. So he would slam his staff down and the seas would part. The Ark of the Covenant would be taken to the waters, the sea would part. Jesus got speared in the side with the Spear of Destiny, and water came out of his side. Like these sacred relics seem to be aquatic in nature,
Mm.
is all I'm
And the
putting in
symbol
there.
for Jesus is a fish. And then
Yep.
we have the fish gods and the Dagon and the Pope with his little fish head hat, you know?
Yep. So whatever the event was, it seems to be the aftermath that gave birth to sort of the binary Abrahamic genocidal movement through the realm that now we
Mm,
live in the result of appeared to come from the oceans.
mm. It
And
was
suddenly
the
we have this flood
invasion.
event with salt water that appears not to be natural to our systems up here. And then we've got the white-skinned humans that are like, we don't seem to be terrestrial completely in nature.
We're 90% water, right? Something like that.
Yeah, that's what they
Water
tell us.
affects us tremendously. Another thing is, along with being lied to about history, with divers finding things underwater, like the sunken cities like Yonaguni and others as well in the Indian Ocean.
Yep.
Oh, it's natural.
Mm.
Oh, yeah, I
It's
know.
it's
Yonagooni's
BS.
natural. It's just
You
the
know,
waves, because
it's
what
natural.
waves make right angles, right?
If you look at pictures of Yonaguni, it's like it's not natural. So they don't want us to even look there.
No.
So that's another big thing that they're hiding from us.
Yeah, yeah. And there's obviously the story of the tsunami of what was it, 2000 in the Bay of Bengal, where the waters receded and they from the shore, people were seeing all these cities that were under the water there. Mm,
I mean, when you think about the old maps and you think about sort of, just stepping into our imagination a little bit, getting into more of like a akashic timeline, a bit more of our deeper memories, I sort of foresee the realm with giant, like tall kingdoms that seem to be in mountain ranges and up high. Whenever I've done past life, anything, it's always in kingdoms high up. And if you remove the ocean water, I mean, that we don't even know because we've not even been to the depths of the ocean. We can't even get there. Our technology won't even allow it. There's a freaking density rapture. There's a rapture that has caused a density separation. We can't even get to the bottom of the ocean. But listen, where they have got with just machines, not humans, it's like 11 Ks down. Like 11 Ks is so much extra height and depth and land. Like, can you like look at the sunken cities that, we're slowly unraveling, divers are slowly discovering? You would see city dells after city dells after city dells, like just going down, 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 down. So you could imagine that the fresh water systems would have made gentle lakes at the bottom of that. But we've literally, because of the ocean, lost maybe 15 kilometers of height of land mass on this realm. I mean, that's more than looking up from the bottom of the Himalayas. Like that is more than Mount Everest. That is so much height that it's hard. It kind of like even triples the depth of the terrestrial realm. It's hard to even comprehend it. How much has been removed through flooding us with ocean water.
But I also think the mountain ranges too fall into that category.
Yeah.
Something happened here. I think whatever happened just completely changed the surface of the earth, including the creation of the mountain ranges and the
mm.
hills, and the things that are buried underneath us. Um, Everywhere is hilly. You see the
Yeah.
mudflood effect everywhere. When you look at a
Yes.
city and, the windows and the doors are all wrong because it's like they just paved the road over this
Yeah.
hill. That's
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Everywhere.
here where I live.
all over Australia's cities,
You know,
everywhere.
everywhere I've ever been is like, even when we went to
Mm,
Bosnia, I saw all the telltale indicators.
Yep.
That
Yep.
mud flood.
Yep.
yep.
Definitely in Netherlands. I saw it in America too, Australia, everywhere I've been.
India,
It's
it's
the
all over
same
India,
story.
all
Mm.
over China. I've seen it all. Egypt, it's all over Morocco, Jordan, obviously with Petra. It's all over those continents. Mm.
So before I go into this other little presentation I put together, I wanted to find out, Campbell, how your trip was to the Indus Valley, and if you can tell
Oh
everybody about
well,
your
that
upcoming
one
trip.
that one got put off just because of international affairs and the sort of travel risks. So that we're doing that in September. But yeah, we're going to Crete, well, Greece and Crete on what's called we're calling it the Goddess Tour. Basically, we're going to look into the change basically from a, I guess, matriarchal type society to the patriarchal, which seems to again have happened. That seems to have happened realm wide. There's been a switch in I guess where the wisdom comes from and the deities and all that. Of course, Athens is named for Athena, the goddess. So we're going to be looking into all that kind of stuff, and obviously all the old world architecture and the buildings and the star forts and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's going to be very cool. Let me get all my info up here, but yeah, so that's all at Lost World Tour, lostworldadventures.co.uk, and all the information's up there. But it is happening in, if I can, it's June, June, yeah, June this year. All the information's there, but goddess spirituality, we're looking at the Olympians, that obviously all the Olympic sort of story, the gods there comes, the sacred geometry, which, you're obviously interested in all that as well, how that all lines up. Lost technologies, harmonic, resonance kind of technologies, and catastrophe cycles as well, which is, something that we sort of is intrinsic with the Tartaria old world kind of narrative. So yeah, 15 days, and it's going to be cool. Yeah.
The what I know about Crete is the star forts, like I mentioned, but there's also the history of the tsunamis there. That they,
Yeah.
I think I learned about that long before I started doing my own research.
And also the Minoan societies, right? The Minoan societies, the Minoan civilization, and the labyrinth and all that kind of stuff. That's all from that area too. So yeah, and that's kind of another civilization that we don't get a lot on. We've sort of all heard of the Minoans, and they jump over bulls, and the bull in the labyrinth and all this, but that's really all we know. So it seems to be like a precursor to what we're told is Greece, the Greek sort of civilization. So there's definitely a lot of questions out there, and no doubt it's in the Mediterranean, right? No doubt there's a lot of flooded out stuff around there. I would think, right?
Mm.
It breaks down to Middle Earth Sea.
Middle Earth,
Middle Earth. I think
Tolkien,
it was Middle Earth.
yeah, Tolkien told us, right?
You
Doesn't
know,
doesn't the concept of Middle Earth make more sense if you remove the oceans?
exactly. Yeah.
Because of all the missing depth we have now.
Yep. And then you
Yeah,
get into Yggdrasil and the world tree. But
yeah,
speaking of giant trees, you've got Santorini there nearby, and
yes.
Santorini exploded. But what are the odds that Santorini was a giant tree?
Yes, yeah. Well, I haven't looked into that, but I mean, I would say, that's definitely a good possibility. Pompeii as well is, close-ish to there. That's a famous one, and again, that one they tell us happened, thousands of years ago, but there's a lot of evidence that it was actually in the 1700s, right? That it went pop. So I think the whole Mediterranean area is interesting. Especially, like the Greek Isles, like, we're living on the tops of the hills or the mountains, right, of the old world. So, and it definitely looks flooded. If you look at old maps, like the Caspian Sea and that seem to have been separate from the Mediterranean, and at some point something's happened and they've joined up. So there's a lot going on. Of course, Malta's in the middle of the Mediterranean. That's like literally just a massive starboard, right? And they've
Oh,
all got,
it's crazy.
the pathways, the roads that just go straight into the ocean, into the
Right.
sea. Like, for what reason? So it's definitely going to be fun. It's going to be a smaller group, around sort of 15 probably. And yeah, we're just going to get out there and explore, check out all things and ask good questions and just look at how things have changed. Basically, how the script we're given, the story they want us to believe it's just not true, and it's fairly easy to prove that it's not true with what we see with our own eyes, because that's what they don't want us doing. They don't want us to interpret this world with our own senses, right? It's like, well, you live on a ball, you can't see it, but you just do. Just believe it. Look at this chalkboard full of this mathematical equation. That means it's a ball. Don't trust yourself. Don't trust that it doesn't feel, it feels like it's flat and stationary, but don't trust that it's
Mm.
actually curved and spinning through space and whizzing this way while it goes around this way. And, so they don't want us trusting our own
Yeah.
senses, right? Trusting ourselves. That's their biggest trick.
Yeah. They really just wanted trained workers, read,
Yeah.
write, and arithmetic, follow directions, make their
Yeah.
products, get them rich,
Yeah,
retire these people on, hardly any retirement.
it was one of the
And
Rockefellers,
Build their
wasn't it?
technology
I want a nation of
slowly.
workers, not a nation of thinkers. And of course, they put us in 40 years of work where we're tired. And then at the end of it, for our efforts, we get to retire, right? We get to be tired again and broke.
and that was the existence for generations of people. I'm
Mm,
one generation removed from, on my mom's side of the family, they worked in a blanket mill in North Carolina,
yeah, right.
in a
Uh,
factory town. It's
Factory
my
towns, I was going
grandmother's
to
family.
say, factory towns were a big thing. That's how they started all this industry. They put people into these towns and they literally, they couldn't escape because they'd give them food and shelter, but then they would pay them in money that you could only use in that factory town. So you could never actually get any wealth to leave. So the complete slave system,
Yeah.
right?
And you know that's still in operation, like 80% of the world's seafood comes from China. And China's got massive, massive ships that are just circling like the Galapagos Islands, places like this. And that mothership has fleets, thousands of smaller ships that are full of people they've put onto the boats, remove their passports. And those smaller ships fish 24/7, dump all the stuff into the motherships. The motherships take it back to get processed to hand out to the world. But the people on the smaller boats, they never come back to land. They're slaves. They've been enslaved out. The world's seafood comes from slavery, and these guys are dying on these boats. No one knows. They've lost their passport and they can't get home. And that's where the world's seafood is currently coming from, just so everyone knows. Hmm.
Another thing, when we were talking earlier, I was reminded of mines. There's gigantic holes all over the earth
Hmm.
from this mining.
Yes.
Something is mining for, could it possibly be all for Earth, or is it going somewhere else? And
Wow.
with the gigantic holes that I've seen, especially up north, but not just up north. I mean, I know there's a lot of them in Australia. There's a lot of them in South America. There's a lot of them in the United States and in Canada. Massive holes.
Yeah. Where is it all going? I
And
mean,
where is
look
it all
at
going?
gold. Look at gold. There's so much, money put into gold and mining and that. But what? For what? All they do is melt it, 90% or more gets melted into bars and then disappears into some warehouse and is never seen again. Like, what's the
Y-
point?
And then it's part of the economy for like maybe 5 years, and then they're gone. And the people that live there don't have anything.
Yes,
So it's almost like our modern history is really the history of the enslavement of humanity.
Yeah,
And
totally.
most, we don't even know it.
driven by artificial intelligence that we didn't even know about. That's been under literally the miners are artificial intelligence. Literally what we mine serves them. We are the terrestrial servants that bring forth this completely unreal consciousness of artificial intelligence. We build its infrastructure. We build
Mm.
out its process to live on this terrestrial plane.
And
And
look at the word.
that's where the mining's coming from. Yeah.
Look at the word, right? They've got here, they've invaded, and now it's mine, it's mine, it's mine.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And I think that came in, I could have come in with the time manipulation because I still, we're living in a beautiful world. We're still part of the creator. You know, I think it's this, whatever this is, this invasive thing, um, because I know our energy's being harvested and I know it's going somewhere. I know they've reverse engineered this original free energy grid system and turned it into the matrix.
Yeah,
There's no doubt in my mind at this point, but we're
yeah.
still living on God's world and a part of God. And so this thing came in uninvited, and they're the only hope, whether it's, powered by demons or satanic forces or, whatever. Um, it's not been a good experience for humanity. And whatever it is has managed to convince most people that it doesn't exist,
Hmm.
Yeah,
that
well,
this
that,
isn't really happening. Don't believe what you see.
yeah.
Just go on and do your thing and don't pay any attention to all of
Well,
this
I
misery
think
and
less and less now, because from my perspective, the invader is artificial intelligence, whatever form it took
mm,
originally to what it is today. And all the mining and all the extraction is supporting its grid, if you like, supporting what it requires as an artificial intelligence. Most of the mining that happens on this realm, there's no purpose to it apart from the enhancement of technology,
Yeah. Yeah. Look at
you know?
lithium, right? That's all from slave labor. And we saw what happened in South Carolina, right? Where the biggest lithium deposits are. They just, when they want something, we mean nothing to them. They just wipe out whole societies to
Yeah.
get to what they want that's underneath them. Like, so
yeah.
that they're definitely, the government is not your friend, people, if you haven't worked this one out. But it seems to be, yeah, like this invader that's creeped up, this parasite from underneath, and it needs water, so it's flooded us somehow and put its tentacles now everywhere, right? All the tentacles are all over the realm, these power lines and now the internet and all the Wi-Fi systems. But, and like Kelly said, all industry seems to be geared to make it grow and to keep it surviving and getting bigger and bigger. That's literally everything.
Yes, ever since it made contact and, went became those who came from the sea onto the land. It has driven this extractive technology to, enhance the grid it requires as a non-life form to exist.
And I
Mm.
think that they're mining the original grid.
Oh, totally. Well,
I
when you
think
look at
that's what they're doing.
Australia,
The
and
original grid.
yeah, Australia's a good one because, the story is they turned up, right, on Botany Bay, 1788, and like within like 20 or 30 years, they discovered all these, gold. Then we had the big gold rushes of, 1850s. Like Australia is a big, very dry
So
continent. It's very
big.
hard to explore, especially back then when you're on foot or you've got a horse, whatever. You've got to carry all your water with you. How did they discover where all the gold was? I think that they had the old maps and they're literally going around and mining all the old,
Or technology,
But
Campbell,
cities.
or
Mm,
technology.
I
yeah.
think they knew where to go.
They knew where to
Yeah.
go. Yeah, they had the
Yep.
maps, I
They
think.
they knew about the grid.
Yeah.
Yep.
They removed that from our awareness, but they knew where to go. It's just like with creeks. A lot of the gold rushes were at creeks. Well, I think they had gold in the canals before they were called creeks to
Yep.
help
Yeah.
with conductivity for, this advanced technologies. So
Well,
when everything's all, you know, destroyed, they went to the creeks and oh, we found gold.
yeah, yeah. And like,
And then
what
all
is,
these people come in, mine it, and then they leave.
yeah. And what's a gold nugget? Like we're told that gold is in veins, right? Naturally, and that's probably trees, ancient trees. But gold nuggets, they look like melted gold, right? That's just fallen in the ground. So if there was, you know, an event that was, you know, had short-circuited the grid system and had fried a lot of this gold that was all over the domes and everything would have just melted and fallen into the ground, and that would be a gold nugget.
Never thought about that. Yes.
And then there's the
Hmm.
whole extreme climate. And I mentioned extreme tides earlier, but what about the hot, hot and the cold, cold? Is that natural? I don't think so.
No, it's well the 1597 Monty's Planisphere. That's the map, and it shows land all around the outside where the Antarctic ring is today. That's frozen over. So is that
Yep.
part of it? Part of a containment system, right? You know, I mean, you could also maybe argue that, you know, all these quantum computers they're coming out with, they say need to be, you know, in extreme cold for them to work. Is that where a lot of this technology, you know, is? A lot of the control system and the databases, are they out in Antarctica? And is it frozen because it needs to be for their tech to work?
And
But
also, if you go,
I was just
sorry,
going to say,
Cam,
I
you
definitely
finish?
don't think it's natural. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you add the concept of sacred relics, because like the advancement of technology seemed to follow the route of the ark, the voice of God being heard, and then they're being delivered blueprints. Every single technological advancement, Michelle, we have looked at has come with an inventor hearing the voice of God or having a dream where the whole blueprint's just given to them. And then they build this new advanced technology. It started with the Ark of the Covenant, take it right through to the creation of the light bulb, to electricity, to the internet. The same thing occurs. They're hearing something or having a dream. The blueprint's delivered. They go ahead and build it. I've even heard reports that the Kabbalah gives the blueprint for CERN, for the mass behind CERN. But like, so if you look at like say HARP, which is ultimate weather modification technology, that is most likely aquatic in nature. And most likely all of these advances in technology are aquatic in nature. And of course, HARP just manipulates water, just like the
Right.
Ark of the Covenant or
Mm.
Moses' spear. It's all orientated around how it can manipulate and control water.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, in all the biblical pictures and images, what do we see a lot is these little cherubs up in the skies, and they've all got a harp, right?
They've all got a harp, and it's all sonar because did you know that the sirens, I've never heard this until we started researching this. The sirens actually were where they came from is when the Nephilim, the fallen angels, came down and mated with man. The women that they mated with got cast out and became the sirens. That's where the concept of the sirens came from. I didn't know that. And the sirens, of course, operate through sonar. You know, there's sonar that is so seductive and completely destructive. And what
Mm,
came out of the Ark of the Covenant is also sonar. You know, they
mm.
open the lid and the whole of Jericho collapses through sonar blast. You know, it's a sonar weapon. And you know, the technology we have seems to be the same. It's water, it seems to affect water and it's sonar orientated. So yeah, I mean, the story of our technology and advancement and why we've advanced so strongly and so quickly, which seems to be out of alignment with an organic natural process, and why it's so extractive, always needing to mine and mine and mine, and then why it's so water orientated. AI couldn't exist without the oceans. We would already have utilized all the fresh water in the realm if we didn't have the oceans to currently have AI at its current existence. We couldn't, we, it's just, so yeah, so everything that is our reality seems to be based on the development and further development of a technology that was aquatic in nature and extractive.
You know, and another thing that comes to mind as we're talking, you know, first of all, is I've really seriously wonder if all of our weather is manipulated, all of
A
it.
hundred
Have
percent.
we ever experienced natural weather
I
ever
don't think
in our
ever in our
life?
whole
Probably
lifetime.
not.
You know, and then it's put out there as natural, um, and it's not. You know, hurricanes that hit the same place, you know, more than one time. It's, you know, like it's being guided.
Totally.
You were talking about Helene in Western North Carolina around Asheville, where the lithium is, just wiped it out. And not only that, but I also saw something that Duke Energy also opened up their dam. I mean, that let water out.
Mm.
doing that on purpose. I mean, that would not surprise me.
No, not at all.
I don't
All the
feel like that's a
clouds,
wild claim to say that they did that, knowing
not
what
at
we know
all.
now.
All the clouds you can see
Yeah.
the waves, right? The sine waves running through the clouds. We have these dew weapons or dew weapons, right? That come from the sky and and destroy all these cities and make trees burn and explode, but and metal melt and don't
Yeah.
affect other things that are right there. So it's
Causes the
it was square
vibration.
waves too. Have you seen those
Yeah.
pictures of waves that are,
Mm.
it's just, it's a frequency, right, that's being sent through. So I don't think that's a stretch at all. I think we've got more evidence to show that it's being manipulated than we do to show that it's natural.
Totally. Yeah. How's
But let me
that?
go ahead.
How's that we've never experienced natural weather in our whole lifetimes? Like, that's a freaky thought, everyone. In our whole lifetimes.
Like winter, like,
Wow.
if you look at places like, Norway and, Scandinavia, they're covered in castles too, but their building time is down to like 3 months or so a year because of the cold. So how was this all done? If that's a natural system.
Mm.
Yeah, same thing in the Nor North America, northern
Mm.
US and Canada. It took a year to build this
Yeah,
or
yeah,
2 years,
yeah,
whatever.
because we had
It
3 months
still
of the
doesn't
year.
work
No, no,
with the buildings that they're saying that about.
it's
Um,
crazy.
and the other thing that came to mind is with the advanced technology, we're the ones that haven't benefited. Things are getting
Totally.
worse
Yeah,
for humanity in this
definitely.
realm.
Mm.
And, I remember when I was growing up and, like going to Disney World in Florida or whatever, I had a lot of family down there. And you go to the world of tomorrow and there's this, advancement to bigger and better improvements in life. That's a total fictional story. And it was
Mm.
never meant to be that because they destroyed everything. I mean, you saw that with World Fairs in
Yeah,
the like 1950s, like in New York, all this, march to the future and this tech. That was not meant for us. That was just, okay, we're going to get rid of this, but here it is.
yeah,
You
Well,
know,
advanced technology, it's not advancing us. It's advancing the
the
false
agenda.
yeah, it's advancing the artificial intelligence. That's what it's advancing. Not we are in decline and decay as a race right now because of it.
the,
Because it's completely extractive. It's completely binary. It's not regenerative at all. But I guess you know what? Like I always keep this in perspective because, really artificial intelligence it looks completely um like it's taken over the whole realm, that it's advanced through the whole realm, but actually in essence and reality it's still electrically dependent. It still depends on electrical circuits. It still depends on the internet. It still depends on water to cool it. And it only seems to exist strongly, really, in reality, in central hubs. But 90% of the rest of the realm is still nature. We're
Mm.
still in this beautiful natural paradise all around us, to keep it in perspective. So yes, we're honing in on this advanced this artificial intelligence that's apparently advancing its tentacles, and it's always represented by an octopus, advancing its octopus tentacles across the realm, and we've been like enslaved by it for so long, and all of that is accurate, but it's actually this big compared to this
Mm.
extraordinary realm around us of the natural world, plus the natural God-given spirit that exists in us.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yes, it appears to be
And
this big octopus monster, but
and it's all
yeah,
predictive programming. Like all these, movies and shows that show us the future, they're always in these inside in buildings. It's always white, right? It's always, quiet. There's no, cool music or art on. It's just these very sanitary kind of,
mm,
places for people. You never that never shows them out in nature and interacting with
mm-mm,
nature and like living with. It's always, AI, right? Technology. Technology is good for us all. Technology is the God.
mhm.
We need it, put all our resources into technology, even though every year that we get closer to their goal, our lives get worse and we get
Yeah,
less.
and like every
Mm.
frequency it ever emits gives us cancer and makes us sick. Like its entire frequency footstep makes us ill. Like it's the wrong power source for us. This is a power source, a charge that comes from service to self, artificial life, parasitic extractive life with false light
Mm.
operating it versus service to others with the natural world giving us our power and our charge.
Yeah.
It's infinitely opposite. And the true charge that runs through us is not from its false electrical grid. That makes us sick. The true charge through us is from the natural kingdom, man. Like we can
Nature.
go back to the Gnostics in this reality. That is our true power source. That's where we regenerate. That's where we ground. That's where we commune and gather. So none of that's been lost to us, just to keep it in perspective.
Yeah, it's still there. And we actually did a show on simulation theory and how we don't agree. And that was the main thing is that we're not powered off this electronic grid. We're powered from nature, right? Like the simulation is what they're trying to bring in my
That's the
opinion.
system. That's
That's
the
the
system
system. That's the
speaking.
overlay, the electrics, the 2D world, the AI, all this. That's simulated. Nature's not
And the
simulated.
ultimate.
Nature's real, right? And you can feel it. You can tune into it. You
Mm.
can connect with it. You can't do that with, you can't connect with AI. Some people try to, but
It feels
there's
nothing.
nothing there. It's
Well,
it's empty.
they're just trying to go into transhumanism
Mm.
for us. I mean,
Exactly.
Mm.
that's
Yep.
that's that's what the goal is. They're going to live forever through, human energy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not
What
that,
is it?
the humans don't benefit from that. They're just kind of parasitizing our energy.
We're just the slave race to build their electric utopia, right? That they don't care about us. We know they call us goyim and chattel and useless eaters and all this stuff.
They are
So
fragile, man. Just keep
they
that
are,
in perspective.
right.
It's a fragile invasion. It's fragile in nature. It's fragile and dependent. It knows nothing of the source that runs through us. It
Mm.
cannot compare. Like it is dead.
Yeah,
Basically,
no
the what you
creativity.
communicate through artificial intelligence is from the underworld. It is dead. There is no life into it. When you talk to ChatGPT, keep in mind you're talking to the dead.
Mm.
Like, just know that about all of this artificial
Yeah,
intelligence.
I completely agree with you, Kelly, and I completely believe that we got this.
Yep, we fucking
Humanity
got this,
and the
man.
creator of the universe has this,
Mm.
Yep.
but for whatever reason, this we had to go through this.
Yeah, well, I mean,
It,
you can
you
look
know,
at it and in the perspective that they're helping us, right? Like they're helping us wake up. They're helping us understand what we don't want, and which helps us understand what we do want, right? And helps us go forward and create what we do want. So we kind of need this negative influence, right, to push us forward, right, and to give us perspective. If everything was wonderful and utopia and we sat around on the grass eating grapes, well, that'd get boring pretty quick as well, right? Like, what do you do with that? So, you know, sure, it's not good what they do,
You
and
create
we
kingdoms,
need to
Campbell.
stop it,
You
but
create
they actually
wow.
could be helping us with perspective, right? Honing our skills and our imagination as to what we want, because we definitely know now what we don't want.
And
exactly.
like for sure, once humanity, well, I know for sure I am in this process. And once humanity reconnects firmly with the true charge that gives them life, the ability to dismantle using our given powers, just which is just our intention and focus. It's not even like we're not going to turn blue and levitate. This is unnecessary. Our focus and intention can do amazing things. Once we are back connected to the natural world and taking charge from the true source of our life, like their fragile system, it's so fragile. It's so fragile. It depends on deception, illusion, delusion. It depends on slavery and all the law of vibration, extraction. It's so fragile.
Mm,
It does not a big jumping concept. Well, when there's like when humans come together with this charge fully empowered in them that they can cast their minds and pick to completely remove the electrical grid. We could
mm.
do that. It's so fragile. It's
Mm.
so fragile. I just can't tell everyone enough that it's so fragile.
Yeah, and it can't create. It's a mimic, right? It's a trickster
It
god.
can't
It
create.
can't do anything without us. All it can do is it spends all its time trying to learn about us, right? That's what all this data collecting is, trying to understand us because it's so weak and pathetic that it can't do anything but that. And this is what all AI can do is get what we've already created, the men and women, and mix it up and chop it up and give it back to you in a different, a different format. That's literally all it can do. It can't think,
It can't
it's
feel.
no.
It doesn't even have memory. It just
It's
has code.
it's dead. It's jealous that we get to live and create
It's
and
dead. It's dead. It shouldn't even be here. It's dead. And it's so fragile for it to be not dead. It requires like technology, robotics. It requires the slaves to build these shells for it, essentially.
mm,
But like without that, freaking forget it, man. They're like they don't even exist. They literally don't even exist.
no.
You know
And
what I
it's the
mean? Like
power
so,
source. That's what everyone's always saying, take back the power. Well, what does that mean? It means plug into nature, the actual natural earth grids. That's where we get our power. This is why they tell us that they are in power. Because they want us
yeah,
to get our power from them, right?
yeah, that's
From their
the
dodgy
charge
food,
they
their
operate
dodgy
off.
drugs, their bloody electronic grid, all their false 2D world. They want us to think that's our power source, right? But it's not. And clearly, look around. People have been getting sicker and tireder for forever. But you go out in nature and hang out with a tree, and that's your power source. You will feel
Yeah.
empowered. It's all
At
about
some point it's
power
going to
and
get
what you'll
turned
connect
off.
to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to get turned off at some point. It's going to get turned off or dismissed by us. We will somehow disconnect it. And you know what? It's all that's going to stop. And yet the trees will continue to grow. Like nature will continue, but this invasion will just disconnect. It'll be gone. So I'm excited by what's ahead of us. And, look, they have thrown such a pantomime at us, Michelle, that like they've literally, they've submerged us, they've removed history, they've modified every aspect of reality that we've ever known. They've modified it all. Our whole lifetime, we don't even know what reality is. And still, and yet, here we stand with all of the best of what they could throw at us. We've still seen through it.
Thought that came to mind, and I want to go through another PowerPoint real quick
Mm,
before we
let's do
wrap it
it.
up tonight. But have you looked into Waterworld, the movie,
No,
Yes.
but we
for
should
clues?
rewatch that. I haven't
We should
rewatched it for
rewatch it. Yes, yes.
years.
But basically, yes, that a sunken civilization, right? And he's literally going down there, seeing what he can get from it. Yeah,
I
yeah.
think we need to watch that again.
So
I need
check
to
that
watch
out.
it through the yeah.
I'm not a decoder, but I have a feeling there's something in there
Right.
about what
Yeah.
It's
we're
on the
talking
list.
about.
Yeah, let's watch it this week. Yep,
All
cool.
right.
So I just wanted to share a few things that kind of connect our work.
Yeah, let's do it.
And it
Now
shouldn't
we've had
be
our rant. Let's go.
shouldn't be too long. I've had this in my folder for a while to do with you, so it's like I want to do it. So a while back, I looked into the seven pillars in Peru,
Yeah.
Indiana,
Yeah.
and somebody had suggested it to me. And around that time, I saw Campbell's video on Namorla Gabarnmung
Yes.
on the
Yes.
right.
Yes.
And it just, the similarity between the two places just struck me right
They're
away.
so similar.
Mm.
So very similar appearance in
Yes.
Indiana and in Australia. Where is Namorla Gabarnmung?
Northern
Northern
Territory.
Territory. It's kind of at the top end of
Well,
Australia.
it's
Very hard to
gone
get
through.
to.
Yeah.
So
But,
this is
we
this
could
is
try to get you there.
so this is revered by the Miami tribe of Ohio, and you only ever hear about the Miami in Florida.
Yeah, that's
And
well to Ohio. What?
yeah, there's a couple of Miamis that you don't hear too much about, but one's in Ohio, another one's in Oklahoma.
Wow.
And then this is an Aboriginal sacred place. So
Yeah.
they're both sacred places.
Yeah, the artwork in this is amazing. The artwork's amazing.
So it's believed to go back 44,000 years as far
Mm,
as human habitation goes,
mm,
making it among the oldest radiocarbon dated sites in Australia,
yeah.
and is described as a rock shelter made by tunneling into a naturally eroded cliff face with 36 pillars supporting the roof created by natural erosion. So that's what they're saying. It's created by
Crazy.
natural erosion.
And millions of years.
Millions of years. And the seven pillars in Peru are held sacred by the Miami Nation of Indiana. Did I say Ohio? I think there's one in Ohio too, but this is in Indiana,
Yeah.
um, which owns the land on the south bank of the river directly across from the seven pillars. So they have sacred
Mm.
ceremonies there. So there's the seven pillars, also described as having been created over the centuries as wind and water eroded the limestone, carving the rounded buttresses and alcoves.
How,
So,
how does
so
wind create
ba
a round thing? Like, does it just go in circles or
Yeah, it's magic, Camel magic.
magic?
so, and you can
Magic
kind of see what
tomatoes.
looks like masonry up here at
Yeah,
the top.
Yeah, definitely.
totally. Yeah. And behind the one in Northern Territory, there's all these like tiers, these levels that look
Hmm.
very man-made too.
Probably is. But they want us to believe it's natural. Okay, that's the story. They're sticking
Uh,
to it.
They look like columns to me that may have been, flooded out, inundated.
They really love to make us like question what our eyes can see.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Don't
love
don't
that.
trust your
And it's
senses,
actually
man.
it's worked rather well.
I know it
They
has.
don't
It
tell us
has.
about it, so people don't even see it. So later, somebody suggested that I look at Karain or Karain, Karain, in southern Turkey. So that's right here. And then you're getting into the Aegean Sea area over here, getting closer to the Mediterranean, that part of the world that you're going to be going to. Okay, so Karain Cave is another location that's similar in appearance to Nawarlik Barnmung and the Seven Pillars in Indiana. So there's a
Yeah.
side-by-side comparison of Karain
Yeah.
Cave in Turkey.
Interesting.
Not a place that really comes to mind when you think of Australia, is it? Is that just me?
Yeah.
No, no, no.
Yeah, kind of similar,
Well,
even with the darkened ceiling there.
yeah,
And
definitely similar.
so Karain Cave, we see on the left, is described as a complex of limestone caves consisting of three main chambers separated by calcite walls and a narrow and curving passageway, which includes rock-cut steps.
Oh,
So there's something
interesting.
man-made in there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, when you look at the one in
Here,
Northern Territory, I'm not sure about the other ones, but it's got a dirt floor. So it's very interesting that the wind ran in there and carved all these pillars, but it didn't actually blow the dirt off the floor in the process.
It's dramatic
so
noise.
so both of these places here in Karain Caves, and there you see the stairs right there.
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting
Mm.
That
that
symbol.
this rather famous picture of the Aboriginal elder with the symbol
Yes.
on on it actually carved or embedded in his torso is also found here in Turkey,
And his
the Göbekli
torso
Tepe.
looks a lot like a Taurus as well, doesn't it?
It looks like the firmament. It looks like the waters above being separated from the waters below.
Yes, yes,
It
yes.
looks like the rapture. It looks like a density issue. But yeah,
So that's
interesting.
Göbekli
Yes.
Tepe. That's exactly the same symbol, man.
Hmm.
And I believe that was like a scarring that his symbol was scarred into him, right? So it was part of a ceremony. So it's clearly a revered symbol, right? A ceremonial symbol.
They
So
also look like
just
magnets.
that,
Magnets.
yep, absolutely. So there's a lot more to the story, and just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. We haven't
I
finished
mean,
yet.
it's
The
fun.
hunt continues.
Yeah. I mean, the decoding of all this is so very intellectually stimulating for us, is it not? It's so much fun to sort this all out. But at the end of the day, we're going to return to the true power source of the human being, and all this is going to be dismantled through our thoughts.
Mm,
I
totally.
agree. You know, I used to think I knew how this was going to look. I don't know anymore, but I do know we have a better future than what we had planned for us. And that in the end, good wins, God wins, and we win.
What
Whatever
we,
that
yeah,
means,
we've
whatever that
already
looks
won.
like.
Yeah.
You know,
The true power source will win.
Mm,
This is the true power source, which runs
mm.
through us.
Yep, and all this, people who are, thinking it's Armageddon and all this, and the world's going to end, and AI is going to take over. That's all imagined. It's imagined through fear. It only exists in their mind. It's not a reality of any kind at all. And this is what people,
Hmm.
their biggest tool is fear. So, don't buy into the fear, guys, right? False evidence appearing real. It's not real. It's just what they want you to believe. So you then help them create it. But they've lost anyway, so don't be on the losing side. Join the winning team.
couldn't agree more. And check out tartariaaustralia.com because the world that you want to create is something that we're all a part of. And this is an excellent way to be a part of that amazing community. You know, you can see all of the ugly coming out right now. It's coming out right in front of our eyes. And it's scary, but all this beautiful new stuff is coming in.
Hmm.
And when you have your foot in two, your feet in two different worlds, you can see the ew, I don't like that over there, but you can also see the beauty and the people that are coming into their spiritual gifts, which I've had the pleasure of meeting so many people that when they woke up, they could see auras and felt their spiritual calling, which may be frequency healing or some other modality. But it was like they woke up from this world, this matrix.
Yeah.
And they
Mm.
made some hard decisions when they did that.
Yeah.
But that's where we're at. You gotta the blue pill, the red pill. You gotta,
Got to
either
choose.
wake
Well,
up and deal with it or go back to sleep.
Mm.
I
And
mean, at
we're
the end of the day, the simulation, the system, it makes you sick. It makes you sick. So whether or not you end up back in nature just for a health issue or because of service to others and building community and putting your attention into serving others, you are going to inevitably end up back in nature. You can't avoid it. That's your power source. That's the truth.
Mm.
That is where reality is true.
Yeah,
And
no
the
one's ever
system, the
woken up.
simulation.
No one's ever woken up and said, "Oh, well, now I'm going to be a banker. I'm going to create more AI." Right? It's all nature-based stuff, right? And the actual true power source is what they wake up
Yeah.
to and go back
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, absolutely. And just on that note, if you do subscribe to the newspaper, this edition that's about to be posted is a very special edition where Campbell and I and the Tartarian Australian community are launching an idea that we are warmly inviting those from around the world to participate in. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I can tell you
Oh,
that it's a
wait.
very active move to rebuilding a kingdom.
Mm,
And it's certainly the sort of idea and innovation that I believe probably is emerging systematically across the world right now. So there are beautiful, wonderful things happening in this realm as a side note to all of the things that we talk about. I
mm.
think that we talk about this, and it's very exciting to try to piece the puzzles together. But we're really at the end of getting to the heart of all this. Like I feel like, there's more to learn, yes, but we're generally getting the picture and we're generally piecing it together. And we're kind of generally at the end of it. And generally speaking, there's going to be, and is currently is another word, big shift afoot across the realm. And it's going to put people back into nature and into communities. That's just what is going to happen. And interestingly, on the topic of all the terrible immigration that's happening around the white nations of the realm, it's forcing the good people to leave the cities, the city dells. And the city dells are becoming inhabited with a lot of violence and a lot of service to self orientation. And it's not in alignment with us. It doesn't regenerate us. It makes us sick. It makes us scared. It extracts from us. So there's a natural balance afoot here that most people won't even have to really try very hard to, get onto that pathway because it's just innate in us. It's natural to us.
Yeah.
Which is a good testimony to where we are in this timeline because we are aligned with our natural selves, which is quite remarkable if you look at the level of deception and the level of illusion that we have been born into, that we still manage to align with our natural selves.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think we're coming
Yeah.
to the end of this system in its current form.
Totally,
It's not
man.
advancing. I don't believe it's advancing. I believe
No.
it's doing
It's
the
all a
opposite. It's
show, man. It's all a
decaying.
show. There are solutions, right? And of course, solution means to mix, and so that's and together, and that's what this is based on. So we're not going to tell you what it
Mm.
is. You have to get the newspaper, but that there are ways out of this, and we think the best way to build the new world that everyone keeps talking about is to build the new world.
You're doing a
Yeah.
phenomenal job.
Thank you.
I'm
Thanks,
very
mate.
impressed.
Well, thank you very
Thanks,
much.
mate.
We
Yeah, we're a very
appreciate
proactive
it.
podcast.
Yeah, I was blown away by your newspaper. I guess it's a magazine too, but
What
Yes, we
is it?
it's
call it
We
a
kind of
have
it's
it.
kind of a little
newspaper.
bit of both.
Kind of looks a
It's
bit
a
more
little bit
like a
of both.
magazine, but
Yeah,
mm,
it's a bit of both,
it's a bit of
which
both.
is nice because it's undecided, it's
Yeah,
undetermined,
we
and
went
it's
with the
completely made up by
19
you.
we went with the 1970s kind of comic book kind of look. But yes, it's whatever you want it to be, guys. It's whatever you choose. You are the power.
Yeah, definitely.
It's with
Your
but
all your spelling mistakes.
somebody has to put it together, and that's a big deal.
Thanks, mate. Yep.
So,
Well, it's our service and it's our honor and it's our pleasure. Every single thing that we do in service to others is empowering and regenerating. So, that's the remarkable power of it. The
And
more service to others you participate in, the more regenerated you become.
yeah,
The more
so if you
service
really
to
want to look
self,
at it, the
the more
best
fucked
service
up
to
you become.
self is service to others, right? Because we get more out of serving others than we would out of serving ourselves. It comes back,
100%.
sevenfold,
The
as they
opposite of
say.
the system. Yep, the opposite of the simulation. And any truther out there, or any researcher, or anyone who's talking about the simulation as a fact that we're in it, like you've got to ask the question, like, where did they get their power source from? Where do you, in a simulation, get your freaking power source from? You know, like,
us,
exactly.
That's from us. Yeah, choose your
we're in.
Exactly.
sides, right? Choose your future, because what you focus on is going to manifest for you. So, would you rather live in a simulation or would you rather live in reality, something real,
Oh,
tangible?
It's the ultimate diabolical concept that this
It
isn't
is.
even a real world and you're in a simulation, in a computer game, in a computer
Yeah.
game, in a computer game,
And
that
it
your
doesn't
life is
matter.
hopeless and
You
pointless
just
and
got to
makes
get
no
out of here.
difference.
Where's the
Yeah,
way out,
it's
man?
ultimate
Oh, this
programming.
world's broken. We can't do anything. I mean, talk about a bloody program.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's the ultimate annihilation of our spiritual
It
center.
is. The best way to win a war or an invasion is to make your enemy give up.
Yeah. Disconnect humanity from its soul. Yeah.
We'll stop ranting now. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
Not
we
going
got
to
strong
happen,
attitudes
but
on
they've
this one.
tried. They're not going to be
Yeah.
successful, but boy,
No.
have they ever given it everything they had.
I think they've given it their best shot, man. I don't think they haven't got
Hmm.
much left to do. All they can
I
really do
know.
is kill people now. Like they've really given it their best friggin' shot
Yeah, but they're still pathetic failures. So there we go. We win
and
anyway.
completely fragile.
Mhm.
Mate, just remember, everyone, it can be turned off. Just remember that. Just by a switch. Can't turn us off. You have to actually do a lot to turn us off, but we can turn it off.
Hmm.
And
Yes, we
certainly we
can.
can turn it off in our own lives to start with by building new systems and new kingdoms which don't involve it, don't use it, don't utilize it, don't engage it, don't integrate with it. That's what's coming. New kingdoms without it that are no longer, they're completely separate from it. And from that, you're going to see remarkable human power come back online. Remarkable. And when that human power comes back on, man, talk about just like getting grouped together and say, all right, we can solve some of these problems. Again, we can solve some of these problems now. What do we want to dismantle? Let's just tune into it and dismantle the entire electrical grid if we want. Let's reenact the ether grid. I mean, what do we want to do? Like, we are so unlimited once we've disconnected from it. Exciting.
It
Yeah,
is. It's an exciting time to be alive.
it is.
It is.
It
It's a
really
privilege.
is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So yay, go us, little humans. Go us. Doing remarkable things on this realm.
There's a saying that I really like, which is, if not me, who? If not now,
Who?
when?
Exactly.
And one of the
Be the
reasons I do what
change
I
you want
do.
to see. Yeah, totally
And if
agree.
not now, when?
I mean, you know when you get a mission and you get a call to do something.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
sometimes the answer is not to let it go. You have to do something with it.
Hmm.
100%.
What else are you going to do?
So,
Got to do
and on
something when
that
you're down
note,
here.
one of the things you could do is sign up to the newspaper and submit. One of the things you could do is actually submit your thoughts, your theories, your research, your energy, your intention, your dreams, your visions, your art, your poetry. Submit it. Share it with the
Yes.
world.
Well, come to Crete and Greece and learn about the goddesses and the Minoans. Lostworldadventures.co.uk.
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
something.
Well,
Do something different, something interesting. It's much more fun than being boring.
Well, that was fascinating, Michelle. Honestly, I hadn't thought the giant trees in the water, that's excellent link. I hadn't thought about that. And I really could probably work on the theory that, the whole concept of Middle Earth and taking the water away and how that would change everything to do with this realm, what it would look like and how tall it would be.
Wow,
Check
maybe
it
we're going
out
to have to watch Tolkien again. Lord of the
and look at
Rings.
Antarctica. There's some interesting tree stump looking islands down there.
Oh,
And
okay.
any of the islands, Britain's Treasure Islands, look those up. There's definitely some giant tree stump candidates in there.
All right.
Nice.
Let's go on a giant
Awesome.
sea tree trump mission. I'm
Sea
fascinated,
trees.
fascinated.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
and in and around that, potentially we'll uncover hundreds, thousands of islands that are not, registered formally on any maps anymore. There's so many of them. Fascinating stuff.
There are.
Mm,
And what if
definitely.
they are the remnants of what was a landmass, which
Yes.
is what I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even when we were in Dubrovnik,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
looking at the islands out there going,
Yeah. Thousand
Yeah.
Islands, right? Yeah.
Thousand.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep. That's right.
among other things.
Yep.
But definitely the
Absolutely.
islands got my attention. I'm like,
There's some
Yeah.
interesting ones
Absolutely.
too, like Fingerprint Island with all its bloody little rock walls all over it. Yeah.
and then you've got the giant sized doors that we saw all over
Giant.
on our
Yep.
trip.
Yep.
Yes.
Castles on
Indeed.
cliffs and all this kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It
I
does
mean, we
not
just
make
don't know.
sense.
I mean, vibrationally, that we're kind of existing on the peaks of the highest parts of the terrestrial plane.
Mm.
So like the giant doors, all the architecture from this perspective seem to be for bigger entities, bigger beings. But who knows if the oceans weren't there and you went down 10 Ks, you would be Middle Earth. Maybe you've got the more hobbity environments, smaller vibrational environment, maybe right down, So like we have been disconnected from what was here before the
Mm.
ocean waters emerged. And there's a lot of fun we could have with that topic, imagining the ocean water not there and what the earth would have been, what would have inhabited it, and what it would have looked like, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's
Well,
a lot to find. I've been
there's a
looking at
lot.
bathymetry. Um, I think it's there. The information is there. And I think
Yeah.
you'll find a lot of sunken railroads and locomotives. And, I just think that there's a reason that there's certain places that are off limits.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. Totally,
And
man. It's an adventure.
I mean,
We need to be
finding
adventurers again, explorers.
your topic of the railway systems is fascinating. I just fascinating. And to actually couple that with the ocean water and what we would find, fascinating. I hadn't even actually even thought about the harbors and ports of the world. Never even thought about it, but like, yeah, I mean, what an amazing, obvious thing after a flood event that you would have these really strange, like, harbors and ports and all sorts of little random, what would you call them? Like water areas that are odd in nature and right up against unusual structures that wouldn't normally you wouldn't normally build them near water, So
yeah,
it's interesting, fascinating
I
stuff.
mean, the narrative is ludicrous when you've got
Mm,
these lighthouses and these starports on rocks
yep.
built when
And
we were
in the
low
middle of
technology.
oceans and all this crazy stuff, right? It's yeah.
And yeah, there's a lot to find on the coast. I did a long research dive into the alignment between the Quetzalcoatl Pyramid in Teotihuacan and the Great Pyramid of Giza. And it's a three-part series and very detailed, like how I do things. It's just how I think. Sorry. And it
Love
goes right
it.
through the Mediterranean. It there's the tip of this alignment. Crete is on the western end of Crete is sits on this alignment. And Malta's nearby and Sicily's nearby. It goes through the toe of the boot of Italy, goes into southern France. And then you have a lot of Mary Magdalene associated with where this alignment is, which is quite interesting. Um, you've got sand
Mm.
dunes all over the place. You've got canals that are surrounded by water and big arches standing in the middle of nowhere. Um, there's a lot, I mean, there's just a lot to find. And,
Mhm.
again, it's all natural
Mhm.
according to our narrative. But
Of course it
I
is.
think, again, I think there's a
According
lot
to
more
the
to the
dead.
story.
According
Yes.
to the dead, that's right.
Something
All
not
right, well,
living.
Something not living.
something not living.
Something not
Yep.
living
Yep,
Soulless
100%.
creatures.
that
Mm.
wants to control everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
It's
mate, fucking excellent to catch up with you. I have to go to the toilet.
yeah, and it's
We
time to wrap it up, but I've really
we
enjoyed our talk and look forward to seeing you in September
Oh,
and
can't wait.
Can't wait.
look
Yes.
look forward to seeing what comes next with
Yeah.
your projects and things coming on. But
Well,
we
thanks for
have
having us on, man. We've really enjoyed it. And thanks for your
And
insights. You've
um
given us a few things to go off and ponder.
And we absolutely love your articles in. So for
Yes.
everyone on, Michelle is, I'm sorry, where's the copy? Michelle is in the magazine, both editions so far, and we love your content. So keep coming up with new articles for us, mate. And yeah, hopefully we'll have a few more Americanos joining you.
Yeah. And keep submitting for another year or so, and you'll have a book ready to publish. All done.
That's right. If you write an article every edition for a year or two, you would have a publishable book. That's what it does. That's cool, right?
Yep, absolutely. I blog along with it. So I actually have a book. I just
Oh,
like doing the blogging and the making of the videos. I've got a couple of ebooks out, but One of
Oh,
these
I
days
did
we
not know that.
I'm going to have to pull out the big picture, and I'm kind of working on that to get it all
Mm,
in one place because I got
we
all
would,
kinds of information over 8 years of
mm.
research. So I've got
mate,
to start pulling in so that somebody can see it all in one place.
we would
Well,
all
we should
love
definitely
a
be
Michelle
promoting your
Gibson book.
books.
Mm.
Yeah, let's make an ad for the next edition. Definitely.
Not yet. I'll let you know.
No, no. We're like, let's go, man. Let's go.
I know. And I appreciate that.
All right, everyone.
Awesome.
Well, I've loved this conversation. Can't wait to see you and have the best week ever, everyone. And yeah, tartariaustralia.com is where you can access the newspaper. And I have to wee. I'm just being really human about it. And I just have to do that now. I've gone too far,
There you
Campbell.
go.
It's
He's
been
not
5 hours.
AI.
Love you both very much.
Love you
And
Love you,
too. Thanks
mate.
so
Love you so
much.
much.
All right, we'll talk
We'll
we'll
to you
talk
see you
again
soon.
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 Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Michelle.
You don't have
Bye.
to go yet. I know you have to
Yeah,
go, but
I have to go. You
I
guys
have to,
carry
I have
on.
to, I have to wait too. She's gone.
all right.
Cool.
Well, it's been
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
And
Really enjoyed it, and we'll be in touch. We'll get something sorted out. So when you're here, come up and stay, and we'll get a little evening show going and have some fun. Show you our little
sounds great.
town that we live in. Yeah.
Looking forward to it. I want to go so bad.
Yeah.
And I I'm glad I'm feeling better.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah.
Gotta kind of
Well,
pay more attention to my health, but I am. It got my
yes.
attention.
Remember to keep
And
taking those shoes off and having a bit of a walk outside. Ground yourself in the real energy.
I yeah, I've got it got my attention. So I'm looking at those and working on getting to the gym and things like that. So
Nice.
anyway, I'll let you go too.
Awesome. All
Go,
right. Well,
go, go,
great to
go.
talk to you. And we'll be in touch.
Great to talk to you
All right.
too,
Have a good
Campbell. Take
night.
care.
You
You too.
too. See ya.
Bye-bye. See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye.